Hello, my name is Mary Lamica. I am the Program Manager for the Tri-Lake Center for Independent Living, a disability civil rights organization. And I'm going to talk to you today about self-advocacy in school. It's important for you to remember to know yourself or your child, know what you or your child needs, and know how to get it. Knowing yourself or your child. No one knows yourself or your child better than you do. You know what you or they need, or what works or what does not work. Knowing what you or your child needs will help you or them to be successful in school, and it will assist other individuals who are working and teaching you or your child valuable insight on how to help you or your child succeed. If you don't speak up, no one can help you. You may find something is not working well for you or your child, and if you or they are struggling, you should know who to contact. You may contact the teachers that work with you or your child. You may contact yours or their guidance counselor. You may contact the CSC or Director of Pupil Personnel Services. They should be able to help you set something up if you or your child does not already have a plan in place, or if there is new concerns. You do need to ask to have your child evaluated by the school for free. You can also pay for a private evaluation. So let's go ahead and talk about what an IEP versus a 504. So an IEP is an individualized education program. And then you have the 504 plan. It is important to understand the difference between an IEP and a 504 plan. Both of them can offer formal help from K through 12 students who are struggling in school. And they're similar in some ways, but vary and different in others. We will be discussing the differences in the following slides. So let's talk about the basic descriptions. An IEP. It is a blueprint or a plan for a child's special education experience at school. In a 504 plan, it is considered a blueprint or a plan for how the school will provide support and remove barriers for a student with a disability. What it does, an IEP. An IEP provides individualized special education and related services to meet a child's unique needs. These services are provided at no cost to the families. A 504 plan provides services and changes to the learning environment to enable students to learn alongside their peers. As with an IEP, a 504 plan is provided at no cost to the families. What law applies? Well, when we're talking about an IEP, the law that applies is called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, also known as the IDEA. This is a federal special educational law for children with disabilities. The law that applies to the 504 plan is Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. This is a federal civil rights law to stop discrimination against people with disabilities. We will be discussing laws in more detail as we move through the slides. Now we shall discuss who is eligible. For an IEP, to get an IEP, there are two requirements. One, a child has one or more of the 13 disabilities listed in the IDEA. The law lists specific challenges like learning disabilities, ADHD, autism, and others. 2, the disability must affect the child's educational performance and/or ability to learn and benefit from. The child must need specialized instruction to make progress in school. Who's eligible for the 504 plan? To get a 504 plan, there are also two requirements. One, a child has any disability. Section 504 covers a wide range of different struggles in school. 2, the disability must interfere with the child's ability to learn in a general education classroom. Section 504 has a broader definition of a disability than the IDEA. It says a disability must substantially limit one or more basic life activities. This can include learning, reading, communicating, and thinking. That's why a child who doesn't qualify for an IEP might still be able to get a 504 plan. An independent educational evaluation. In regards to an IEP, families can ask the school district to pay for an independent educational evaluation, also known as an IEE, by an outside expert. The district doesn't have to agree. Families can always pay for an outside evaluation themselves, but the district may not give it much weight. Looking at a 504 plan, in regards to an independent educational evaluation, it doesn't allow families to ask for an IEE. As with an IEP evaluations, families can always pay for an outside evaluation themselves. You can ask the school to have your child evaluated by the school for free. Who creates it? Who creates an IEP? There are strict legal requirements about who participates. An IEP is created by an IEP team, and that team must include the child's parent or caregiver, at least one of the child's general education teachers, at least one special education teacher, a school psychologist or other specialist who can interpret evaluation results, a district representative with authority over special education services. With a few exceptions, the entire team must be present for IEP meetings. Who creates the 504 plan? The rules about who's on the 504 team are less specific than they are for an IEP. A 504 plan is created by a team of people who are familiar with the child and who understand the evaluation data and special service options. This might include the child's parent or caregiver, a general special education teacher, and the school principal. What's in it? What's in an IEP? The IEP sets learning goals and describes the services the school will provide. It's a written document. Here are some of the most important things the IEP must include. the child's present levels of academic and functional performance, how the child is currently doing in school, annual education goals for the child, and how the school will track progress. The services the child will get. This may include special education, related, supplementary, and extended school year services. The timing of the services, when they start, how often they should occur, and how long they should last. Any accommodation changes to the child's learning environment. Any modifications, changes to what the child is expected to learn or know. How the child will participate in standardized tests, and how the child will be included in general education classes and school activities. What's in a 504 plan? There is no standard 504 plan, unlike an IEP. A 504 plan doesn't have to be a written document. A 504 plan generally includes the following: specific accommodations, supports, or services for the child, names of who will provide each service, and the name of the person responsible for ensuring the plan is implemented. Notice, in an IEP, when the school wants to change a child's service or placement, it must tell families in writing before the change. This is called prior written notice. Notice is also required for any IEP meetings and evaluations. Families also have stay put rights to keep services in place while there's a disagreement about the IEP. In regards to a 504 plan notice, the school must notify families about an evaluation or a significant change in placement. Notice doesn't have to be in writing, but most schools do so anyway. How often it's reviewed and revised. In regards to the IEP team must review the IEP at least once a year. The child must be re-evaluated every 3 years to determine whether services are still needed. In looking at the 504 plan, the rules vary by state, but generally a 504 plan is reviewed each year and a reevaluation is done every 3 years or when needed. Now we're going to discuss some important educational laws. Knowing the laws. Understanding your rights is important when working with the school. There are laws set that the Department of Education must follow. This is important as you or your child have rights as an individual with disabilities to receive services to help you or your child become successful. Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act, the IDEA 2004, and this is relating to an IEP. This helps ensure that all children with disabilities have access to a free, appropriate public education, also known as FAPE. It requires schools to prepare students for education, employment, and independent living after high school. It also requires that schools provide services to meet an individual's unique needs. Under the IDEA, public school districts must protect students' rights to a free and appropriate education, guarantee the right to education until a student graduates, meets the goals of the IEP, or turns 21 years of age. It also provides for evaluation and developing an individual educational plan, also known as IEP. It provides services and documents students' use of services. Now we're going to discuss Section 504. Section 504 is part of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 that prohibits discrimination based upon disability. Section 504 is an anti-discrimination civil rights statute that requires the needs of students with disabilities to be met as adequately as the needs of the non-disabled are met. Section 504 states that no otherwise qualified individual with a disability in the United States, as defined in Section 706, Subpart 8 of this title, shall solely by reason of her or his disability be excluded from the participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving financial assistance. What are my rights as a parent under Section 504? As a parent or legal guardian, you have the right to receive notice regarding the identification, evaluation, and/or placement of your child. Examine relevant records pertaining to your child. You have the right to request an impartial hearing with respect to the district's actions regarding the identification, evaluation, or placement of your child, with an opportunity for the parent or guardian to participate in the hearing and to have representation by an attorney and to have a review procedure. You have a right to file a complaint with your school district, Section 504 coordinator, who will investigate the allegations regarding Section 504 matters, other than your child's identification, evaluation, and placement. You also have the right to file a complaint with the appropriate regional office for civil rights. And for additional information, you can also contact the U.S. Department of Education in Washington, D.C. Let's talk about Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974, also known as FERPA. This allows students to access their own educational records, not parents. This allows post-secondary teachers to view students' educational records. Teachers don't have permission to view disability-related records. Let's talk about what happens when the families or the child does not agree with what's going on. Well, you have a right to dispute. So how are we going to resolve a dispute? Well, in regards to an IEP, the IDEA gives families several ways to resolve a dispute, usually in this order. There's going to be mediation. If this does not work, you go to due process complaint, and it can continue on with resolution session. You have a right to a civil lawsuit, You have a right to file a state complaint or lawsuit. In regards to a Section 504, this gives families several options for resolving disagreements with the school. You have the right to have a mediation. You have the right to alternative dispute resolution. You have a right to an impartial hearing. You have a right to file a complaint to the Office for Civil Rights, also known as the OCR, and you also have a right to a lawsuit. Now we know. You have been able to identify you or your child's needs. You know who to contact if you or your child needs help. You know some vital laws to help you better understand your rights. Don't be scared to ask for help. You have a right to have an advocate to assist you in communicating with the school for you or your child if you need assistance. Please, if you need further assistance, you may contact us here at the Tri-Lake Center for Independent Living, your local advocacy and disability civil rights organization. We serve all of Franklin and Essex County. Please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, concerns, or comments.